Oh my goodness. Big day for patch notes. This patch notes actually came out a while back, but they actually went in today, so I thought I would kind of review these changes based on what I've played so far. This is for the new season of Godzilla Battle Line. Uh, right out the gate, Burning Godzilla is the 4-star unit of this month. Interesting choice. Not who I would have picked, but he looks interesting. He has this temperature gauge that affect like on death he explodes, and if and the higher his temperature when he blows up, the more damage the explosion does. He's only a 5 cost unit, the first Godzilla to be a 5-star, a 5 cost unit. So we'll see what he does. It's gonna be a while because of the way 4 stars work in this game. Everyone's got to fucking level him up. But I guess we could test him in the testing facility, but hard to tell where he is since I don't have any friends. I don't do that, so it'll be a while before I got a take on him. Uh, other balance changes though. We got an interesting list here. Okay. First, Space Godzilla. They buffed him. Interesting choice to buff. Increased HP. That one you feel. You really feel that one. He takes a few more hits to kill now if he's at higher level. Raise the HP of the crystals and increase the length of time they remain on the battlefield. There's a lot of crystals. There's some. I've had one instance of crystal buildup where there's been like 6 of them like right next to each other. But the HP you don't feel at all. Especially with the next character who is buffed is really doing good to check him, and that is Biolante. Biolante, both of her forms were buffed. She gets an attack buff when she's on water. That is really, really good at certain maps. And you can just throw her in the middle, and like she can kill. Like I believe when she was on the water, she killed Terrestrius in 3 hits. Which, if you know anything about Biolante before, you know that she wasn't killing Terrestrius in like 6 hits, let alone 3. Before she was like support, but now she can like really do some damage by herself. And so it feels bad if you run swarms. This buff is not something you wanted to read because it's really helping her. She's probably an A tier now, honestly. At 3 costs for the amount of damage she does, insanely good. They buffed Batra, who I'm sure is coming back to the meta. If people didn't think he was A tier before, they certainly do now. Increased HP on the larva form. Duration of attack buff on deployment and shortened his evolution time. That's good. He got increased attack, which he didn't really fucking need, and a bigger duration of his attack buff on deployment. So hopefully that speeds him up, makes him a little bit more aggressive. Because before he was kind of, if you wanted to get that attack buff, you would kind of have to play him defensively, which for the most part you still kind of do. But I don't know. Batra's already an underrated unit getting a buff, so that should be that he'll be able to use that extremely well. So the first 3 underrated units got buffed. I don't know why they thought Space Godzilla was bad. I thought that character was decent. He could already, like, Stonewall 89 by himself. So, interesting 3 characters to buff. Biolante needed it the most, but she's using it. She's really making it work. Magra set the cost to 5. I haven't tested that one yet. I will, though. I haven't powered up Magra. Hopefully, that will help him out. I think that was a good choice. Because a lot of this patch was damage control on the Super X. Not gonna fucking lie to anybody. The Super X was ruining the game, so I'm glad they fucking nerfed that. Rodan increased the HP. The Rodan's leveled up, so I don't see it. I saw it once and it didn't do anything for the guy. It was dead weight. Dimension Tide set the cost to 4. This thing's a fucking monster now. I always kind of knew it would be. The effect of Dimension Tide was never the problem. It was its cost. It was like, what, 5? And they lowered it. That's insanity. And now it goes +1 against swarms, which is huge. Against swarms, you go +1 energy trade when you use it. When you kill the Super X with it, you go +1 in energy if you kill it fast enough. Which it can't one-hit every Super X, but you can't just use your lower leveled Super X now and expect to do well. So that's good. We'll get to that in a second though. Dimension Tide is proving to be very, very effective. The amount of damage, it got like a damage buff like a couple patches ago. Now that it has lower cost as well. It's really transforming the 1v1s that you use it in. And you can like batch up, you can like smush together units for Biolante and Hedora to fucking like kill together, and if you bring them all together when Biolante's on the water, Biolante can do some serious damage. There's a really good synergy there with Dimension Tide and this kind of spreading out your pressure meta that's kind of been developing across the entire board. Dimension Tide can work to smush your enemies together while splash damage users like King Ghidorah, Biolante, and Hedorah do some serious damage on them. So, that good shit. Another thing it can do is it can pull these obnoxious range advantagers into range. Like, you can pull a Ultima forward and get it in range of like an 89 faster now. So 89 will take less damage dealing with an Ultima, or just like just everybody all together. It hurts Ultima's ability to 1v1 everything as he runs down the field, which is really fucking good. Because despite the last nerf we're gonna talk about here, Ultima's still the best thing in this game. But Dimension Tide is still it's a really good fucking piece now. It can just ruin Manila, Super X. Very good counterplay to the range pieces. So this was an extremely good choice. Super X. Slowed down attack speed and set the cost to 5. Thank fucking God. This thing was ruining the game. I think what I said about it on my last tier list ended up being correct. The thing was S tier. The thing was an absolute S tier monster. It fucking was ruining the game. At 3 cost, the thing would sit in the back and shoot and transform 1v1s to an extreme fucking degree. Now it's worse. 5 cost is slowing it down tremendously at getting on the field, because it's not a piece that you like need on the field like right away. It never was. It was always a support piece. So what you would do with it was you would put your heavy hitter first and then let the heavy hitter do something, and then the heavy hitter would kind of build up a push, and then the Super X would come out. But like before, you could put down Ultima and Super X with 9 energy. Like, that was insane. Now you need 11 energy to do that. So you feel that extra second. And plus, Ultima by himself is usually not what you want either. You want something in front of Ultima. Before, it was much easier to do something like Hedorah, Ultima, Super X, or Biolante, Ultima, Super X, and that would be that same play. It would be 12 energy to get Biolante, Ultima. What was that, right? Yeah. So it would be 12 energy to do Biolante in the front, Ultima, then Super X. And then Ultima in the Super X would cleave through everything, while Biolante would kind of soak up some of the damage in the front. Okay, all that would be done for like 12 energy. Now it takes 11 to get Ultima and Super X in play. So Super X is spending more time in your hand, less time on the field. Okay, that's doing enough to slow it down. Its attack speed nerf, it's noticeable, but it's not as bad as you think. Like, you can tell it was toned down, but it's still doing okay. The Dimension Tide's killing it. If you run the Dimension Tide, you can suck it into those air units a lot faster, get it off the field. Okay, so if you feel like if the guy Dimension Tides you and you lose it pretty fast, you're losing out on energy there. Dimension Tide is a plus, is a -1 against it now. Manila slowed down attack speed. That's noticeable. He cannot stun lock Kong anymore. Confirmed. It looks like he still might be able to get 89. I don't know. I saw one weird interaction in a weird space where it looks like he still might be able to get 89. I know he can't get Kong anymore. And I don't know about Space Godzilla or Anguirus yet. But I know he can't get Kong, which I think that means he shouldn't get Anguirus either. If he gets anybody, it's going to be 89. And 89 still kind of deserves it, so we'll see about that. Godzilla Terrestrius shortened the duration of the HP recovery effect. That's noticeable. It's like 7 seconds now, it feels like, where before it was like 15. It was half the time it was out there. Now it's like 7. So Terrestrius took a massive nerf right there. That's important because they don't want to nerf Ultima. It's very clear that when you get Ultima in play, they want him to be the strongest thing in the game, and he is. So no matter what they do to Terrestrius, I don't think it's going to matter. I think unless Terrestrius is like a one-hit kill by everybody in the game, I don't think that we're going to stop using it. Because Ultima is just so fucking good. If you have Ultima, you're unstoppable. If you have Ultima when your opponent doesn't have Terrestrius, when your opponent has Terrestrius and you have Ultima, you're unstoppable. Ultima is still the absolute best thing in the game, and no matter what limitation they put on Terrestrius, we're still going to work with it, unless Terrestrius is absolute fucking dead weight. Unless Terrestrius is like as bad as fucking Rodan, Fire Rodan's evolution state. That thing is awful. So yeah, he's Ultima's fine. I think he's still S tier. Like especially now that support is stronger than it's ever been with units like Space Godzilla, the Super X, and Manila out there. Super X not so much anymore. Dimension Tide is helping it out. I secured an evolution today with it solely because of Dimension Tide. Support is now stronger than it's ever been before. And a lot of units can double, like Hedora, Biolante, doing good at killing things as well as supporting your own guys. Because support is so good right now, the shortened duration to the HP on to HP recovery on Terrestrius doesn't matter. It admittedly will stop you from evolving him sometimes. It will. It'll slow Ultima down a little bit because it is objectively weaker. But overall, the idea of making good plays to evolve Terrestrius is still the meta. That's what it will always be. I really feel like it will be. Energy refueling base, set the cost to 6. They understood that thing had high usage rate, so they nerfed it. I still think that's overrated. I still think that the energy base is bad. It's not bad. It's just not as good as everyone thinks it is. So there you go. Interesting patch with a lot of shakeups to the meta. Manila, Super X took just two support units took a massive hit. So good. Magra's a little better. He'll be able to get up there faster and support Terrestrius more, so he'll have the role. Space Godzilla's better. Biolante's a lot better. Batra's better. The Dimension Tide is the standout, probably receiving the best buff of the patch. Pretty fucking good. This is what top 5% balancing can do, ladies and gentlemen. This is all balanced around top 5%. Oh, absolutely. All of this is. Some underrated units got buffed. I still feel like some of those didn't really need them, but they're definitely going to use them. We'll tell you that. Alright, that's so good patch overall. I'm getting the hell out of here, lads. GG's.